In this video, we're going to actually begin soldering the components onto the Raspberry Pi stepper motor hat. I'm going to replicate everything that was on that initial breadboard. The first thing that I did was really just in my notebook, I jotted down exactly what I needed to do and how everything was wired up on the breadboard. Then, as I began looking at how I wanted to wire this up, I cut small pieces of wire and I wanted it to look neat, as I've seen in other videos. And I really spent a lot of time bending 90-degree bends into these wires so that I could wrap them around specific components, make sure that they looked neat. Now, the level shifter that I'm using, it actually raises the data pin from 3.3 volts from the Raspberry Pi up to 5 volts that the addressable LEDs need in order to operate. But the problem with that is that the level shifter is so wide that it takes up the entire width of the project board that is on the Raspberry Pi hat. So in order to get around that, I needed to actually run some of the wires underneath the level shifter. And we'll see if that ends up being a problem later. I don't know if this is going to work. I think it'll work. I don't see a reason why there should be a problem. Another idea is to actually just run the wires underneath the board entirely, but I'd like to keep everything up on top if I can. So we'll see how that works out. Here you can see I put a little piece of painter's tape over all of the wires that I just put in, and that way I can flip the board over and put it in the holder, and then I can solder everything from the back side. Here you can see me putting down some flux so that I get good solder connections. And I am making sure to solder everything solidly. But again, between cutting all of these wires and making sure that they look neat, which is probably not a priority, it took me over 2 hours to get all of this put together. And all of that seemed to work pretty well. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. But there are clearly problems here. So I thought I was being clever by placing the data and the ground wires underneath the level shifter. But now that I'm through and it's taken me 2 hours to get to this point, I realized that I forgot to actually add power to this. So you see that there's actually 2 ground wires that pull down these 2 pins, this pin here and this pin here on the end. Both of those are connected to ground, but there is no power running to this thing. I think I'm getting a little tired tonight, so I'm going to call it quits for today, and we'll come back at this tomorrow. I'm a little bit frustrated with myself, but hey, we'll take another crack at it tomorrow. It's funny that I took all that time to lay out all the wires and everything. I really thought that I would get to all of that this evening, but it's taken longer than I expected. So we'll be back at it tomorrow. But I think that's enough for tonight. I'm tired and I think I'm going to go to bed. This is day 17 of a 30-day challenge I've given myself to post a video to YouTube every day in the month of September. And as I've said in the previous videos, if anyone has any feedback for me about how I can make better solder joints or better videos, please leave a comment down below. But for now, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great night and stay awesome.